Hi and welcome to newsletter 3 of the East newsletter. I guess that's what it is. It's so good to have you guys here again, and if you're following along with this, thank you for following along with the story and being encouraged by what God is doing in the east of Glasgow. I'm here with some very special people, Andy and Rhona.
Hello.
Hiya.
And we're going to meet them. If you've been tracking along, you'll know that we started with Lauren and I and our story of how we ended up here. We met Callum, and we're looking forward to Callum and his family being on the plant with us as well. But now we're going to meet Andy and Rhona. How did you guys be in a position where you're now going to be part of a church plant?
Well, we moved to Glasgow about 5 years ago, and we moved to the East End, but we joined St Silas, which is in the West End. And back then we were quite aware, we were looking for churches, that there weren't many kind of Bible teaching churches in the East End, and definitely felt like it would be awesome if there was a church plant. So we started thinking about that, and then realised that St Silas was thinking about it very seriously, and we're quite excited about it. So since it's been kind of discussed, we've been hoping to get involved and excited for it. So yeah.
I think it's a bit of a process as well, because when we got married, we were at a similar point in our faith where we both felt that our faith wasn't necessarily the biggest priority in our lives, and we both wanted to sort of make our faith like the number one thing and live in a way that really glorified God. And I think when we first got married and we had then moved to Glasgow a year later, we did really feel like we wanted to be in a church plant, but we also just felt we needed like a lot of growth. And it's been like kind of cool seeing over the years we've been here, just feeling like God equipping us more and thinking, no, we really feel ready that we want to just do something where we just continue to bring the faith as the number one thing. And if that means like being able to share our faith more with the people around us, then it makes sense that we would then try to go to a church that's near us. So yeah, I think it's been a bit of a process, hasn't it? But I think definitely the last couple of years we've been at a point where we're thinking, yeah, we'd really love to be involved in a church plant. We'd really love to feel able to invite our neighbours along to church, and then for them not to have to get in a car and drive 20 minutes. And would love to sort of be just involved in something like a church plant.
So we'll get to the neighbours in just a second, but it's one of the things I really love about these guys, and really like the tone of East. There's just a lovely just transparency about, you know, where people in the launch will talk about themselves, be like, oh, we weren't like necessarily like on fire for Jesus, you know, at that point. But it's funny, isn't it, that when we made that decision to put Jesus at the center, all of a sudden there's just opportunities that will sort of rise up, right? And one of those opportunities for you guys has been living here. So we're filming this in your place in Shettleston, and so I first met you guys 2 years ago. And we were at it was a lunch at St Silas, and we were talking about the church plant, and you guys were there. And one of the things that was said at that meeting was just about when you're planting a church, we're not just there to sort of be a holy huddle, but we're seeking to reach out. And you guys off the back of that were like, well, let's make the most of living where we are, right?
Yeah, we felt like we wanted to get to know our neighbours better, and so when we first moved in, we had like a barbecue where we just invited all the people in our little close over, and we hadn't really done that for a while. And when you came over, we were like, oh, we really need to do that again and get people over. Yeah, it's a good way to connect with people, because we wouldn't really rub shoulders with our neighbours otherwise, except for our immediate neighbour. We probably see more.
And your neighbours know you guys are Christians?
Yes, it's always difficult to sort of, you want people to know that you're Christian because our faith is, you know, it's a huge part of who we are, but you don't want to just sort of go up to people and be like, oh, by the way, I'm a Christian. So we kind of awkwardly did, when they came around for barbecue, we sort of interrupted the conversation before eating to say, oh, is it okay if we say grace? And then Andy said grace. And then there was a little pause after, then people were like, oh, we didn't know that you were born again. I was like, I didn't know that that's what we were called either, but I guess if we're born again, so we're born again. So then they know that, they kind of know that.
That's the secret to the kingdom. Say grace before dinner. Bang.
And then I think there was another time that we'd knocked over a tin of paint in our driveway, and we were trying to like make a good impression on our street, and it was like we'd not been living here that long, and it was like white paint and it stained the whole street, and it took us hours up on our hands and knees kind of scrubbing the paint to get it away. What's the stuff? White spirits or something.
Yeah.
And it turns out that all our neighbours thought that we were on our knees like praying, praying for the street. So I don't know whether maybe we've gone about things slightly clumsily.
Well, I think it goes to show, and this is no fault of your neighbours, but it just goes to show how how little those around us in this part of Glasgow and many parts of Glasgow know of who the true God is, right? And what actually does it mean to be a Christian, and why would people know if they haven't had anyone who's told them? And if there's not sort of a church in the community that's teaching those things really helpfully. So this is part of the reason why we're planning a new church, isn't it, right? Because people need to know the truth. I love that desire that you guys have to live local and to be on mission local, with your neighbours, and seem to reach out to them was one of the things that was really important for us, for Lauren and I, as we came to move over, and we weren't sure where we were going to live, but as you guys have talked about, living locally and the value of that, it's a pretty cool story for us how we got to live in the house where we do, or with the flat that we do. There's a Christian landlord who owns a little property portfolio in the east of Glasgow, and when he heard about the church plan and what was happening, he was so excited by it, and he felt like God had been good to him in the East End, so he wanted to bless the East as well. So he gave us, our family and the church, the use of a 3-bedroom flat free of charge, and so we're not paying rent on the flat that we live in, which is just a tremendous blessing to the church, because otherwise it would be a cost that the church plant would have to pay. But that's sort of something that the church doesn't have to worry about now, and just an example of how Christians, as in the same way that you guys have been said, hey, we want to put Jesus at the center of our lives, and we want to therefore be doing, that's going to impact how we do church and where we do church. If this guy has put Jesus at the center, and this opportunity arrives, and you say, okay, I want to be generous in this way. And for you watching this, you might be someone who is a Christian, and you say, I want to put Jesus at the center of my life. And if that's the case, and you live in the East, well, let's jump into church, and we'd love to hear you and get to know your story. But if you're not yet a Christian and you're watching this, well, maybe that might be something that you want to think about. What will it look like to put Jesus at the center of my life? And maybe East Glasgow Church is a place where you could do that. It's been so good chatting to you guys. So thankful for your time. If you want to meet these guys, come along to one of our meetings that's coming up. Get in touch with us, and we would love for you to come and find out more.
Yeah, thank you.